Hi, this is the Sweet Release Healing Roundtable. We call it the Roundtable because nobody's in charge and we think we're cool. So here we talk about spirituality and spiritual aspects. These are a bunch of spiritual readers and fun people here, including myself. I consider myself fun. And we're going to discuss some fun topics, aren't we, tonight? First of all, how is everybody tonight? Have we survived Monday and into Tuesday so far?
So far.
Still kicking.
Rough.
Barely.
They're mean. They bully me.
The children at school?
They're so mean. We have 2 weeks left and they're just mean.
They've tapped out, huh?
Oh, I've tapped out.
That might be why they're mean. They're like, can you please let us in and feed us and take care of us and bring us to our parents? Can you please teach us, Mr. Spencer?
Fine.
Fine. All right. So as we learned from last week, we do need to physically record the after podcast part. Is going to be termed after hours, the roundtable after hours. But now do the SRH roundtable. We have some good topics tonight, chosen by our wonderful people and crowd and audience and everyone who's thrown in what they want us to discuss. The first one, the spirits get lost. Sometimes I wish they would, but that has not been my experience. So what do we think? What do we feel when we tap in? How do you feel?
I feel like they might get like a little misdirected. Not lost, though. I wouldn't consider it lost.
Disoriented.
Yeah.
I'm with Jenny on that. Definitely disoriented. I'm in a body and then I'm not what?
Especially traumatic that like there was no preparation, maybe.
It's like a new skin now. Like they were so used to a human being inside a human body. Now that they're spirits and free to do what they like, it's kind of, they have no idea what to do with that.
I find it interesting that when I ask what happens after we die, they show laying on a table, except I look very, very different. It's just like this bright white table and everything is bright white. And I open my eyes and I'm like, holy shit, that was a whole acid trip of a dream. Like, what the hell? What? That's what spirit always shows me. It's like that whole, like, you guys are never going to believe what happened. What is this?
Kind of like Mushu in Mulan, where he like comes up out of the snow after they get like does all the thing, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what my brain saw as you were describing it.
I know that there's plenty of people who have said, I need to help them go to the light. I need to help them cross over. Tiffany's face just said it all on that one. She's like, So what do we think about people that say that when they're like, no, I have to help these spirits cross over. That's why they're here. They haven't gone into the light.
I think Hollywood speaking again.
Yeah, and I think that having that kind of mentality towards spirits is, it's like pushing them too fast. It's like trying to cattle shoot, right? Where you are like, you were alive, now you're dead. Now what am I going to do? And then you realize like the potential of being a spirit again. And then like you try to figure things out, and it's not necessarily get lost. I heard exploring the potential. And when people are like trying to like get them to go, it's you're forcing them to not, I mean, you're trying to force them to not have
it's
that
an
experience.
ego.
Yeah.
I see that being as a human being's ego, like, I am gonna help you do this because it helps me feel better inside to think that I was able to help you along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But in doing that, you're trying to like
hinder that experience
Yeah.
that they might need as in that form.
Yeah, like to come to terms with what happened and then to go through like things that I've learned. Like it's the process, and trying to force a spirit to go through that out of sheer willpower of your own ego is not okay. It's selfish in a way.
Yeah.
Lori had two interesting comments from YouTube, TikTok. So yes, someone was saying, what about the ones that just kind of come in and cross over? And then of course there's always, I love the comment from Michelle on TikTok that said, they've already crossed over. They don't need you to help them cross over. Like the second souls die. And I want to piggyback on what Sharon said about that's a Hollywood thing. Hollywood loves to say, oh, they need your help. They get lost and there's limbo and there's all these things. And it's all just bullshit. It's not reality, because that would come down to saying that the creator made a mistake and that they can get caught. And then, of course, if there's the awareness that there's a mistake, why wasn't it fixed? Especially since creator can do all these kinds of things. I'm glad it's not just my phone going off right now. I'm so happy it's not just me, because I feel like a fucking train wreck today. Like,
It's not just you.
can we discuss that? Can we hop subjects? Because the energy is fucking crazy today. And
It is.
it's not just me, because like, I know that spirit is like changing things and ticking things up. And I know things are getting more intense. I know the celestial bodies are all over the place.
I
But
literally had to walk outside because my mom wouldn't stop asking me questions. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of something.
yeah, like what the actual fuck is going on?
Too much. It's chaos everywhere.
And I love chaos. I thrive in chaos. I know plenty of readers who do. They don't like that really organized and structured approach. I love chaos.
It's like extra though.
Yeah, it's not in the how can I utilize this? It's in the entropy. It's the absolute destruction of everything around me. And I just need it to stop for a second.
Yeah.
Is it weird that I'm like more calm now? I'm
You
just
know,
like
no.
chill.
I'm hitting the crescendo part where it's like I need to explode for a second and then I can calm back down again.
Oh, that was me yesterday.
Yeah, same.
That was actually me the day before yesterday. I was not having a good time emotionally. I was very grumpy.
We're just all going through it.
All the pills today. Like,
Keeping in mind, though, it's
Weird.
not just planetary placements right now. We are also in a 5-month. That is all change, which has everything in upheaval. We are all feeling it.
That's a really valid point. The 5 month of change. And then
Tiffany, have you had like within the past 2 weeks a day where you felt like this and now you're like, no, everything's great and I'm calm and yeah, okay. So that the light at
Last
the end of the
week for
tunnel is
me.
not a train. Okay.
Did we say 5 months? There's more.
A 5 month.
Numerology of month of May is 5. But yes, there is more. Like just because it goes away, the energy stops.
May is not taking 5 months to go by. I'm not handling that well. I will set up a tent in the woods. I'm not even kidding. Be like, I'm out. No, it's, Sharon's right. It's the numerology of 5 and the overall arching of fast positive change for January, February, March, April, May, 5th month, Kaylee, 5th month.
Okay.
Clarifying for you, honey.
I can't do it anymore. I need a little bit of a break.
Someone wrote, it's everyone, not just us. The world is shifting. So like, we know this, like that's a known. We know that the entire world is shifting. The entire world is subject to this energy. We know it's not just us, because that'd be one fucking weird. It'd be weird for spirit to just be like, we're going to isolate a certain group of people that happen to follow sweet release healing. All of you can have like the fun of this, as
Like, can we
opposed
not?
to
They want us to have talking points.
Spirit's like,
Yeah.
here's something for them to talk about. They want to do a podcast, enjoy. Here's all kinds of stuff to discuss.
I think Spirit was over our after hours last week, and they're like, dang, they need something. Here you go. Have a rough week.
My face hurt from laughing so hard. And my whole face, my stomach hurt, everything.
I
Yeah,
ended up
we-
with one of those like laughter headaches where every time you laugh, then your whole head like throbs.
No.
These like mug or bottle cozies with the shape of a diaper.
No. Sharon's gonna get on that. You know, she's gonna put something on the merchandise for that now, right? Like, you know,
Oh,
she's
just
gonna,
stick the logo on it. You're good.
she's gonna go like right into Canva and she's like, what can I make? I think we should make something like a sticker
well,
that's like, they don't need your help crossing over. They're fine. They're fine.
Stay on your lane.
Well, I mean, realistically, when spirits wander in, because I had this happen in a session, I want to say last year, and it's one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in a session, where I was doing a gift focus session with someone, and we both felt and looked to the side. And she's on a camera, like we're on Zoom, we weren't in person. She looked to the side, I looked to this side, and she was like, someone just came in here and sat in my chair. And I was like, I know, I see him, I feel him. And the chair is not in, it's over here, you know what I mean? And it was such a cool experience because he said, he specifically is like, I'm not on your entourage, I'm not on yours, I'm just wandering through. I felt your energy. I felt that this was really cool and I wanted to just check this out and explore it. Which comes down to, I mean, a learning opportunity for her, but for me to be like, oh, I want to know all about this tangibility. And I had the impression of off-worlder, silvery, tall male with like the impression of a notebook and a pen on his lap and being like taking notes. And it was funny because when he stood up to leave, we both watched him like, okay, bye. He was like, I'm here. Thank you. Carry on. And one of the things that was super cool, which I love with walk-ins like that, where people like the just randomly come into your space. It was so cool. I forgot my train of thought. It's gone. Squirrel.
Well, it
over.
kind of makes sense because you don't expect your spirit team to be tethered to you, right? It's not like you've got like a little lead and you're like, come on, we're gonna go to the bank. Like, so of course they're gonna wander around.
That's fair. That's very fair.
I have part of mine that'll go hang out with a friend, with one of my friends, and it's really funny. And the only reason that I can say this with any confidence is that I'll get into some shenanigans, and I'll get a text message that goes, you know, if you used a hammer, that'd be a lot easier. And I'm like, I just need everybody to mind their knitting. All of y'all, stop it. And then I go get the hammer and do whatever. And I'm like, you tattletaling little punks.
Wait, mind your what?
Oh, sorry. Knitting?
Mind your knitting. I thought you said mitten. Mind your mitten. And I was like, why?
Mitten minders.
Like, why? Where did it go? So confused.
Sorry about that.
I think I just keep on coming back. My brain just keeps on coming back to like how much Hollywood has really corrupted things like this, though, because it really is awesome that like we do have people in the community that can be like, oh, someone just walked in, like, what's up? You know, but like Hollywood has made it lead to, and even I would say some modern religions saying like, ooh, if a spirit walks into your room, like you have to do these things to make sure that it's not evil, right? We have these things that like corrupted our curiosity of what that is. And when in all reality, they're just interested in what's going on, right? Or maybe they have a message for us. And how quick we are like, get out of here, right? Like so scared of these wandering spirits or these lost spirits, but it's like just a corrupted mind frame. And like now we're getting there to be able to understand like, no, they're there to message or to just hang out with you for a second and like learn something from them and then let them go on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking, like, how many missed opportunities, like, to learn something or get a message because people are afraid. They're scared
Yeah.
now because of that. Like, you could have learned something so profound that would have changed your course, and you were scared of it because of something somebody told you.
Well, and to go off that learning thing, I mean, keep curious, and I'm sure spirits want to keep learning, and they, I mean, how are you going to learn from your mistakes and learn about other things to then come back and give advice or say, hey, maybe we should go this way instead of this way? Because when I did my wanderings, I saw someone do it that other way and it didn't really work out so hot for them. So maybe we try it this way instead.
We had a question in the chat that was like, there's a couple of them. What makes them lost? Are they in the in-between? Thank you for the clarity. I sense that holy water and spray it everywhere, but my son doesn't even sleep in his room. That is a great perspective, a missed opportunity. So there's a lot of belief systems out there. Like, I think we can all agree there's no such thing as lost, even if they are just wandering around. They're going for a stroll. They're checking things out. I've learned some of the most out-of-pocket, amazing information from souls and spirits and whatever that just come on in and hang out and just want to say hi. Case in point. I was like, of course, like.
And what are they lost from? What are they lost
Yeah.
from? Like, that has always been my frustration of like, oh, we're lost. And that's such a human mentality of like, hey, I'm lost. I don't know how to get to the store. Or I'm lost. I don't know. I don't understand what's going on right now. They don't have that. Like, that is, they can think where they want to be and they're there, right? Like, they have so much more than us that we are very limited. We have these blinders of what lost means. And I don't think that's a thing for them. It's like the emotion question last week. It's emotions are a human thing that we feel and we're limited to, but they don't have that. They don't have that lost. Like, hey, God, come get your soul is lost again, right? Like,
now in the chat,
So-
Sterling made a really cool point. I have to ponder on why I got that message of I'm lost.
feel like
So she
lost
had to
is
kind of walk in. I'm sorry,
it
Shirley.
could be, oh, sorry. Probably like a belief that you have to be somewhere already, or there's somewhere you need to be, there's something you need to do already. And having not really any reason to be anywhere or do anything, have no guidance, that can make them feel like they're lost because they don't know what to do. They don't know what the purpose of their being in that form is. They have no like guidance, I guess. They don't feel like they have guidance.
Yeah, I was getting that too. It was bringing me back to that, like, we were talking about the disoriented feeling of like, I know I'm supposed to be doing something, but I'm just gonna hang out here for a minute while I get my bearings.
Yeah. So, and like Spencer said, lost is relative to a point in time and space. So, and then I saw Michelle said, if you're in Walmart and you wander around, you're not lost. You just can't find what you're looking for. You know you're in Walmart. And it's like relative to a particular point in time, like tethered. I may not be able to find my way from point A to point B, but my mother always said, everywhere you go, there you are. So the idea of lost is one also that's based out of fear. And if spirits don't have emotions, then fear doesn't come into play.
So all of this kind of brings up a bigger question for me to add on to this, because, I like to go deeper, is do our human experiences and our learning actually cross over into the afterlife with us? Because to me, I see like a ghost stumbling and falling through a wall and then being shocked that now it doesn't hurt. Like they don't get injured, they don't get banged. So is a human body afterlife then more of just learning and experiencing to gain more knowledge?
it could be maybe something unresolved that they couldn't resolve in their human life, that they can have better perspective in that form.
I say yes and no. One, we do take our experiences there. Two, seeing one that's stumbling through and showing you like the shock. Are they actually shocked? Or are they showing you that so that you can pay attention to them, get your attention, and so that you understand what they're trying to tell you? Just like when they cross over and suddenly they're in their 20s when really they died feeble and very old. Because spirit decides what they look like. So is it actually stumbling and being shocked that they went through that wall? Or are they showing you that to teach you something and to get a message across to you?
That's kind of how I was feeling before when you mentioned I'm lost. I'm like, well, is it really that the spirit's lost, or that they are just showing up the reflection to how you are feeling, the lessons that you need to learn?
And on the cusp of that, well, I'm piggybacking on that. What if they're coming from the perspective of a past life where they did feel lost in this life or whatever life shared, and they're bringing that up as like a memory sparker, so we can remember a past life with them, get what we need from it, attributes, convictions, whatever we need from that past life, and bring it to now.
So there's where we need to ask those deeper questions.
Because it's not a one size fits all.
Exactly.
And we have to, like, what are our favorite questions to ask then? Like, is that I'm like, I go straight to, is that literal or metaphoric? Like, which one are we at? What are some of our favorite questions to ask then?
Sometimes, are you trying to get my attention? Do you need me, or are you talking to somebody else?
Yeah.
Huge fan of going with the obvious too. Huge fan.
I have a less
Simple, can I help you?
I have a less professional, like, what the fuck's that about?
I mean,
Why
yeah.
are you showing me that? The
Mhm.
fuck does that mean?
It's really funny. I'm always hesitant to ask that question, Sharon, and I don't know where it comes from. Can I help you? It's like, am I getting myself into some sort of tangle, right? Which goes back into the program of things like Hollywood and
Fear.
yeah.
I mean, okay, so who here has not had the experience? You walk into a dark room, but there's a spot in the room that's darker and you walk into it, you feel like you're walking into a wall. That's
Yeah.
obviously some sort of spirit standing there and you're like, what the fuck? Can I help you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I do that all the time.
Direct you to, what the fuck was that about? Like Kaylee said.
And it all makes sense, to me at least, is that there's so many different aspects since they have, I know that when they cross over, there can be that period of like, what the hell is going on? And to us, time moves linear. To them, time just, it exists in a circle. And we know that sometimes because time exists in a circle and ours is linear, they don't always mesh properly and stay separated because that veil is energy. So like I was thinking about this today. I forget the madam's name in the quarter, in the Louisiana quarter. She was awful to slaves, absolutely horrific. And she is known as being a horrible person. And people have been, thank you. People have been able to capture pictures of her. I'm sorry, could you say that louder, Tate? Someone.
Lalaurie.
Mhm.
Lalaurie. Like Lori, but Laurie.
People have been able to capture full pictures of her just on standard phones for ages. Because, and that she's always doing the same thing. It's a repeater for us. It's happening over and over and over again. But for them, time is in a bubble and they're just walking through it. I think about it as a bubble moving, like the bubble twisting.
So you think that that's actually energy that continues in that bubble and just not like an imprint of the energy that just kind of gets stuck there?
Not stuck, but it's a momentary crossover that for us spans decades, for them is seconds.
Like a time loop, kind of.
I guess I need to correct that. Like she's not stuck there, but the energy of that action.
It's not a stuck either. It's just a crossover where it's happening there because it's already happened and the imprint of the life here has gone over to spirit world. And the energy of that is just happening and we happen to intersect with it as our time is going here in the physical, which makes me wonder, because we've been able to interact with beings like this before. We know this. It's been recorded. We've been able to do this fine, right? And they're like, I'm in my, like, we'll be like, where are you? And they're like, I'm in my room. Where are you? And they're wondering who they're talking to. Is that what we experience when we hear spirit and we see things out of the corner of our eye?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of this is blowing my mind because it reminds me of Interstellar, the movie. Exactly what you're talking about. They show it so good. And ever since I watched that movie, I'm like, that's it. Like, that's how it works.
Okay, so on the topic of the LaLaurie house and that horrid woman, everyone who's had interactions with that house, up to and including Nicolas Cage, their life has fallen to absolute shambles. So where does coincidence cross things like this?
So I've never heard that. People that go to the house and go in and through the house, they leave.
No, so Nicolas Cage owned the house about 5 or 10 years ago, and this was right before he lost all of his money and all of his assets, and he disappeared off the face of the earth, and he couldn't get any acting jobs. Now, granted, he was anyway. But people who have history of owning the house, interacting with the house.
The chat, I know, I saw the chat too.
Chat's blowing up, y'all. It's hilarious. Have had uber bad juju. So, and then we have lots of these places in Louisiana. So when it comes to, and I guess this is maybe a crossover into different like realms, but if we're taking the spirit and the residual bubble, and then we take all of the coincidences that happen around these places, is there an overlap, or is it a self-fulfilling prophecy?
I think it's
think it's different.
I think it's two different things.
Yeah. Sorry, Tate, what were you saying?
No, I think you kind of take that legend and like you make it that way. Like you believe it. It's kind of like if you believe that and you stay on that side of it and you follow through with it, like that's gonna happen. But if you don't, I don't think so. That's all.
I think that ties into what you guys were talking about in the last episode about the lower vibration energy little ribbons. She has a lot of it. Let's be real. So if you go into a place that has a lot of it like that, it's going to get stuck to you in some way, shape, or form. So that's, if you go into a hot spot like that, you're going to have to clean yourself off a little bit.
I have a theory. So humans tell stories. Stories become legends. Legends become energy. Energy becomes real. The stories perpetuate, and all of a sudden things happen because humans have perpetuated the energy of it and made it real.
They manifested.
Yeah, manifest.
Say they manifest it into existence.
Yeah.
So that's where our hauntings come from. It's not because there's actual ghosts there. It's because humans have created the energy of it.
Think Hollywood.
Theory.
Think Hollywood.
And fear feeds it.
Well, and like Hollywood takes like the innocence of different things and then they like expand on it to try to scare it, right? And to bring that fear out. And then we watch those shows over and over and over, and that fear just grows and grows and grows and creates that negative energy.
So then how do you get rid of it?
Don't send Zach Baggins.
No.
What? 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 What?
Zach Bagans from the Discovery
Worst
Channel.
ever.
Oh, he's a disgrace.
He's
Horrible.
awful. He's so awful. He definitely helps solidify whatever he's investigating. He helps manifest it into being real things because he is very good about feeding into the fear and, oh my gosh, what was that type stuff.
He doesn't just feed it, he invites it. He antagonizes
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
It's
Obnoxious.
brutal. Like if I could come back as a ghost, he'd be the first one I'd go after. Look at this.
You want to instigate something here?
I'm just looking away.
All of us in the in-between, coming back and terrorizing. I can't like good. It's gonna be
Talk
Red
about
Rover.
chaos.
We
On
need the
tonight's-
supposed demons that people talk about.
Mm,
On tonight's episode, we are talking to a ghost named Sharon.
he bites. I have to share, I have the weirdest experience. So in the corner wall, when we were just talking about those walking in, I got the impression of a line of 4 beings. One is a little bit in the front, one's a little bit in the back, the 2 in the middle, but then the other 2 on the sides are perfectly equal. And they're different heights and they're mostly lightish. So I didn't get a ton, but I saw them come in and I swear they're all perched around my chair. And I'm like perched on the arm of my chair, 2 on the back, and like one sitting in it. And I'm sitting here like so distracted. Like my ADHD is already really bad the last few weeks. And this is the last thing. They were so distracted.
Would they like to answer some questions?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, are we gonna start channeling during the round table?
I mean, we
I'm
can
full.
absolutely see because it's like it's right there. I'm gonna knock shit over trying to show you. I can feel like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Morgan
They're
says
just
they're
hanging
the
out.
live audience.
Yeah.
They're the live audience.
Well,
Coming from a live
kind
studio.
of
audience.
live.
You know, right?
Recorded in front of a studio audience.
They're giggling, and then they did that canned laughter of like, ha ha ha, that you used to see in sitcoms.
Hey, do you want to hear something really weird?
Always.
Always.
That canned laughter. Every one of those voices have been long dead. Because it was
Okay.
filmed in the 40s and the 50s.
They're
So that
not
canned laughter is.
They're all going.
You
Yep, that's true.
Morbid facts there, Jenny.
I love Jenny's stories. Are you shitting me? I live for these now, especially the
Say
after.
it was bad. I'm just like, where do you pull that information out of?
So their
So
laughter
much.
outlived them.
Yes. What a legacy. Speaking of.
That is kind of
That
cool.
was
Actually,
deep.
your laughter outlived you. That's
Yeah.
kinda cool.
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave a pile of laundry. That's all I got.
Couple of cells.
Speaking of deep channeling, Tiffany had a question that I think is worth mentioning and I think is worth exploring. I think Kaylee there she is. I was like, you got frozen in the best possible position ever. It was fantastic. I can't wait.
Okay. I don't.
Tiffany
Was it-
brought up energetic polarity, how it connects to the planet, us, and it's how we speak energetically to others. And looking down that topic. Now we know energetic polarity is the existence of the positive and the negative, the push and the pull of the universe, and how that push and the pull creates like magnets. And you know how magnets can come together and then create movement. Through that movement, it creates the unfolding of the universe, just like cells divide pieces of itself over and over and over again, which creates the seed of life and continues to expand. We know this as being. But let's talk about how that leans into how we connect to the planet with it and how we use it to energetically interact and speak with each other. Tiffany, why don't you guide this one since this was your topic? What do you mean? No. Yes.
Okay, fine. So
It was
it is
a
my
big
running
question.
theory and a bit of a backstory that Spencer and I got a little conversation about this. Thanks, Spencer. So literally from a quantum physics standpoint, because in my logical brain, I always have to ask, like, how do things work? Why does it work that way? What are the little intricacies that go into it? Our actual physical human bodies are nothing but energetic magnetism, the way our muscles move, the way our brains communicate to the muscles, all of it. It has also been proven through multiple studies that we have these huge energetic fields around us. Most of them extending, like a football field away, which in my logical brain pulls all of us together to make this one big, giant, energetic net around the entire world where people's fields are cross-secting and continually communicating. I think this is how we get those bad gut vibes when you just know something is going to happen that's going to be terrible. I think this, as readers, gives us all the capabilities to be like, oh, hey, I kind of vibe with this person and I know where you're coming from because our energy fields are connecting and we're able to get that off of everybody. I think this is how human beings can tell when something's going to happen with the planet, because our planet has all these amazing energetic magnetic points throughout it. So I thought it would just be helpful to explain that in my perspective, I think that polarity is so important because it's literally how we do everything we do, especially with spirit.
Just
And
makes
go.
me think of how people say, like positive vibes, negative vibes. That's that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that place is giving off negative vibes. I don't want to go to that house. Like.
And then, like yesterday, we had that thunderstorm rolling in. I posted in the Discord. I went out there and rubbed my feet in the dirt, and stood out there. And I said, sucked it up like a milkshake, because in my brain, that's exactly what I was doing, was sucking up all of that shift in energy because bleh, and I left feeling lightheaded and tingly because apparently I hadn't taken deep breaths well enough lately. So that's my physical body interacting with the physical planet around me. I'm sure my spirit needs the same thing, right?
Well, that's a question for you, Jenny. What do you think?
I mean,
Well,
yes,
yeah.
no, tap into it too and see what you get.
What I saw while you were talking, Andrew, is just the yin and yang symbol. And after that popped, I don't know how many of you have watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, but the fish in the pond circling each other on a continual cycle, that's also what popped into my head. Not sure how to make that.
Well, that's true, because you can't have like if you had nothing but the light, what how do I explain this? So like you can't recognize that the light is the light if there isn't also the dark right there with it.
It's like they charge each other.
Yeah.
Like balance and duality. You need both.
Which bring us to the next topic, duality versus polarity.
Ooh.
I know, it's an interesting one to go down because we know everything is made of energy. We know that there's energy that exists between and into our cells, unlock my car for my child. I love being mom. I unlocked the car for you. All right. So when we look at this, we have the, excuse me, carry on. I'll be right back.
Can I go back to Tiffany's thing real quick? Because I
Yeah.
remember in one of my classes, I watched this thing and I don't remember the video or where it came from. And so I'm not gonna be able to like tell it exact, but they were testing this polarity between people, or like this electromagnetics and how we connect. And if like that whole like thoughts, I'm sending positive thoughts your way could actually really be a thing. And they talked about how they had two people, partners, and one of them was sick and had cancer or some disease that was pretty fatal to them. And they put them in a room, and this room was thick with concrete and all these different things that they were like, it's going to protect them from anything that that they could send this way, right? And they shut the door, and they had them all wired up to different machines, and they were checking vitals and all that kind of stuff. And then at different points, they would have their partner who wasn't even in the same building as them. They were just back at home. And sometimes it was even across the whole country, do positive thoughts towards them and sharing that love and that strength and that like that stuff from where they were and however that looked to them. Like they did not tell them what to do. It was hey, we want you to do this, but whatever works best for you, do it. And the person inside the tank or the room or whatever that was protected by whatever, they watched the vitals increase and they watched the stats go up and all those things, and they didn't know when it was happening. So it wasn't like a placebo, like, hey, this is gonna happen at this time, right? Like they didn't know. And they would do it and they would watch everything go up, and then they would ask the person to stop, and then it would literally go back down. And they were wondering, like, how could this be, right? Like there shouldn't be any way in science to prove that this could happen this way. And I've always thought that. So when Tiffany started talking about these electromagnetic fields that are huge, like Tiffany was saying, as big as a football field sometimes, like we can connect. And can we connect through other people too? Can I be like, I can't get to Andrea, she's in New Hampshire right now and I'm in Utah, but can I do something that will shoot through all of these electromagnetics to get to her, right? Like those thoughts and prayers, sending my light, that kind of stuff. Is that how we connect?
So are you suggesting that those fields are infinite in size?
Yes.
They can be, absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, if we have, like, say that this is the distance between me and Spencer, and we're going across the US, right? When we are using our energy, it does that to connect us. So it's no longer separated by that full point. And I think that the way that this topic is going is really interesting because we don't recognize, nor have we been led to even go down this line of thought and exploration of what energy can actually do, of what we can actually feel and experience, and what we can do in ourselves, not just to help other people and connect to other people, but to realize that we're already connected. And this is what the peanut gallery is talking about, is it's more a realization.
As healers, though, that's what we do. Like, I would say that this group here specifically already knows the power of sending your light. Like, you are actively sending healing and light to another person, knowing that it's going to reach them. Like, we know in our group, that's just what we do. That's what happens.
Kaylee raising her hand.
Yes, Kaylee.
So going back to that, like I had to write it down. You guys all know about the oldest tree in the world, right? It's one tree in Utah, and it just made this connection. Like, it's all of these trees that are individual to that one tree. So the source, that's what I got from it. Ooh, I got goosebumps. Okay. And then I got them as like protons and electrons, right? The positives and the negatives. of an atom that are just kind of swirling around, and they'll just kind of, when we put our energy towards something else, it just goes along this network that is already there. It's an unbreakable connection. And we are all a part of this. So like we are all part of the one tree is what I'm getting from it. So it's, and it's limitless on where we can send it or how we can send it. And we have the potential to do it at a, like, put more power behind it.
Yeah.
But we just don't realize that that's a thing for us. Like we have unlimited ability and power behind what we're sending. You just haven't either tapped into it or figured it out how to do it with a human body.
Yeah.
Because the thought of my visualization is when I'm sending my light, I'm sending it through the air. It never ever once occurred to me that it travels any other method, right? That I'm just shooting little laser beams at Andrea and they find their way there. That's not how it works. So if it travels through the ground and through the roots and the crystals and the rocks and all the things, I have journaling to do now.
Ooh, okay, but the feel of that feels so good.
Right?
Opposed to like just sending it in like a light form, sending it down into the ground like roots. That I like that feeling.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the part that we haven't got yet that would make it that much more of a powerful message, is that we're trying to go over it when we can go through it and
let the existing systems / highways work for us and with us.
yeah. I got like the vision of like a Hot Wheels track when it goes through those bumpers that shoots it.
Yeah.
That's that came to me.
Well, that's what ley lines are for.
Warp gates. Warp gates.
Yeah.
It will be like using the earth, using Gaia as a conductor instead of focusing on the air, trying to move it.
I also think part of it is by going through the earth, through Gaia, it can almost all be like amplified too, because you're also at the same time kind of pulling in from what's there.
Yeah, so it's not just your energy, but you're also,
it's backed up by Gaia's energy.
they're like combining.
Yeah.
So you guys actually pay attention to the pathway, because I'm blown away right now.
It's really cool.
I've never once done that. I've only just visualized the person and my light doing what I'm asking it to do on them. I've never once paid attention to how it gets there. And I'm
Just trust that it does.
blown away.
Yeah.
They just showed me like crackly light through the ground.
For me, it's like I saw like sparkles. It's kind of like crackly, like electrified sparks just through the dirt.
Yeah, mine's more like Shirley's is like whenever Tiffany was talking about like your quantum physics. I do love to talk about that because essentially all we are is energy. The matter is slowed down. And I think if we speed up enough, we can push that through. But I always see things and send things in particles. Like it's never a path. It's like, well, maybe it is a little. Like I can kind of see where they are. And then it's all like particles. It's light particles. It's separated. It's the breaking up of the mass and the holding down. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but never a solid path. It's always like sparks.
That's so fascinating. I love this.
Like synapses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like an
you pop the-
ADHD brain.
Yes.
Hold on.
Did you see the TikTok chat?
No.
Wobble, wobbly, timey, wimey.
Oh, I love me some wibble wobble. Yeah.
I
Look,
love
there's a Doctor Who episode for everything. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
It really is. I love Doctor Who so much.
Well, like that makes sense, Tate, because like when particles are heating up, they move faster, right? So you're
That's
creating
all-
more energy. They're moving faster and faster, creating more energy, higher vibration.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, and so then that plays into the high vibration, low vibration, right?
Mm.
Is
Yeah.
we're low vibration meat sacks. And then
Yeah.
you run into people, places, and things that are icky. And then some people you gravitate to because they are light, because they have more energy and more fusion and fission and holy moly.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
Did
The
we
less
just crack
you're
the code
set
on
in that
something?
math, the better off it is. Yeah.
This just blows my mind listening to this though. I'm kind of with Andrea because I've never thought about or watched or focused on that. It's always like just a set, release, go. Like it's gonna get there.
Intentional. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Like
used to freak
make
me out.
sure. Yeah.
I was always like, what happens if it hits the wrong person? Or what happens if it hits a rock? And then I was like, Spirit, what's the best way to do this? And they were like, just visualize the person and your light is just raining down on them or lighting them
Yeah.
up. And I was like, I can do that because we all know when it comes to spirituality, I am definitely on the lazy side. I'm like, the fastest way from point A to point B is a straight fucking line. I'm not going through 10 different steps. I am not doing all that. It is what it is. And I'm going to let it be.
It's not lazy. That's efficient.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna claim that one. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I mean, also single mom. So like, I gotta get from point A to point B quickly, and I had to find ways faster. This blows my mind and is so cool. And I think it was Carlene. Yeah, you were saying with the ground, and I saw a dark ground that was almost a little patchy, and I saw like utilizing old root paths.
Yeah.
And it was all like this blue light. That's very cool.
Because the trees talk to the fungus and the fungus talk to the trees. And
Right.
it's all interconnected. There is no separation. That's a human
So
construct.
why should we hold ourselves separate from it when we're using our energy?
So you know how they say that water has memory?
Yeah.
I was also thinking water too.
Since water infuses all, it would make sense that the rocks and the moss and the ground and the trees and the fungus and all of that holds water is also going to hold that memory. So insane.
Well, how much of our body is made up of water, really?
This
But
just
then-
reminds me of the new Avatar movie, like the new water.
Yeah.
Avatar
I
movie.
haven't seen it yet.
Oh, well, I think it was Jessica in level 2, and we were listening to Jenny teach about runes, and she said like Awa, which I guess is one of the words that they use in the new Avatar show.
Yes.
And so like this is just like really connecting. Like the big tree and roots, and I just
think
don't
that's
have the
why.
ponytail to connect with people.
My
Weirdo.
brain can send us down a rabbit hole because I think about it all of the time.
But I got a question. So if water has memory and water infuses all these things, and that's how the earth and everything comes together to remember us and know us and help us get energy where it needs to be, what happens in the desert?
Oh, there's still
Okay,
water.
There's water in the desert.
I'm so glad you brought up the desert because the image they gave me was so the crackles. It was like a desert, the super droughted dirt
Dried up
that's
lake
all
bed.
crackled, and
Like a dried lake
they
bed.
showed the light flowing through those cracks. And when you started talking about water, I was like, okay, so what's up with the desert scene that y'all showed me? Because there's still
There's water.
yeah, like there's
There's
still
still-
water there. It reminds me of
plants.
Sedona. Sedona wasn't under an ocean. I don't know. That was a little fun fact I learned on a Jeep tour. But it's desert like now. It still has all of that memory laid in the land still.
I know that the land remembers being water, but if water is the conduit, and I'm talking like dunes.
If you take it also down back to a subatomic level,
Yeah.
everything that is made with atoms and protons and electrons, all that are which are vibrating. That's all we are. We're not actually solid objects. We're just
Right.
little tiny particles vibrating back and forth. So there's still, to me, intermingling of that atomic level that they're communicating together.
So do the individual pieces hold the memory, or is it the space between the pieces that holds the memory?
Both, because crystal also has water in them. So the sand in the desert still contains molecules and atoms of the water in which it was born or whatever. So it may not be a droplet of, but there's a remnant of. And then all the cacti and the flowers dormant until it rains again. There's still water pathways.
And in the animals, the insects, sometimes even the air,
Yeah.
there's
Well,
water.
and then-
So they act more as, instead of like just the servers for the internet.
What spaces are we talking about? Because we don't live in a vacuum. Like all the spaces are filled with some type of particle. Like unless you're in a vacuum, you cannot have nothing. In
So I was
something.
talking about the atomic level, the space between the atoms.
It's
still filled.
It's still filled. There's stuff circling around the atoms and they all intersect and
With what?
light
Black-
energy.
I don't know.
Energy.
Black matter,
Black matter.
Well, we know it's energy.
dark,
We know
dark
this.
matter,
Dark
dark
matter,
matter. That's
We
what it is.
absolutely know it's energy.
Yeah.
But is it the energy of memory? Is it the energy of discovery? Is it the balance of light and dark? Is there a certain kind of energy that exists there? For me, it's the same color of energy that's in the DNA and not the physical part. It's the same color, it's the same structure, and it looks with the same amount of sparkles. So what exists in the in-between?
All of it.
I was about to say
Nothing.
everything.
Everything and nothing.
Yeah.
Everything.
I
and
don't
nothing.
think it's nothing. I don't feel it, because that's the void for me. The nothing and the everything existing together is void for me. And that's a different color texture. They just were like the void's over here. I agree that it's all. It is. the
I
mem-
feel like there's like pockets, like concentration pockets. So it is everything except, maybe if you redirect it like this, you could hit positive, negative, positive, negative.
Mm-hmm.
So it is all, but it concentrates.
I agree.
If
Based
that
on
made any
experience.
sense.
No, I get it. But like the pockets are based on the experiences that were had there.
A lot of people on TikTok are saying like memory and knowledge. Pockets of memory.
It looks like, you know how like you drop those small, like a handful of those small balls that spread when they get wet, and they're all squished together, but there is an in between of that water. I feel like that energy is the same as the water. That's what fills in those gaps.
I could see that. Everybody looks so deep in thought. It's so funny.
I was just going to say, maybe that's why it's so important we bless the rains down in Africa to help the water.
Well, so what I was thinking when Jenny was explaining the desert, like the sand being essentially crystals, and it brought me back to Andrea saying dunes. Essentially, in like say like the Sahara Desert, where it's a sea, it's a sea of crystals. It's a sea of hard water all over.
Hard water.
Like
I have this
ancient.
I
image.
just did a quick Google and it says that some of the world's largest supplies of underground water exist beneath the Sahara Desert.
Mm.
And it feels ancient.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
I keep getting this image of a djinn standing on top of a dune next to a cave. And he's telling me that there are keepers of, and then he's pointing to the cave, and there's a cistern. So there are stewards and keepers. And ask of what? And he just looks at me like, what do you mean of what?
What are they keeping?
Yeah, and then the camel that were no, they're not convoys. You know what I mean? They're back and forth.
Everybody needs to watch the initiation. And oh my gosh, the initiation. Because this is just making me think. I was watching him just the other day. I can't remember his name. But it's on the Gaia Network.
Matthias
And
did.
yeah. And I lost my train of thought.
You said everybody's got to watch the initiation.
It had something to do with what Jenny was saying.
With the different.
Oh, the keepers. So he goes into detail of like Lemuria and Atlantis and like even before that. And there are was it the giants? They were the keepers of the water. They were there to put the memory in the water, in the planet, and all of that. So that all clicks.
That's cool.
Yeah.
The Nephilim, is that the giant race? They're called Nephilims?
That one of them, that's a biblical.
I think this one was the frost giants because they were in the north. They're like Antarctica and the Arctic Circle.
That was one of my favorite
They're
parts.
the keepers of the ice. Yeah.
Whole show. I was like, oh, that I was right. I loved that whole show though. How many of us like watched that show was feeling super validated? Like, I remember that.
Yeah.
Remember that. I remember
What
that.
show is it?
Initiation. It's on the Gaia Network. It's Matthias Stefano. So I follow him on a bunch of my stuff. He talks a lot about early man, about the different alien races that were here and how they functioned with humanity and how humanity started to evolve, especially into Atlantis. And he's fantastic. I was like, thank you. You know, you just like trip and fall into something that's like, oh, I have that memory now. Thank you very much. Like that just came to the forefront. The whole time watching him, I was like, okay, I remember all of that. Weird. And it'll have you feeling weird. Grab your tissues, grab your water, grab your notebook. It'll have you feeling some kind of way for sure.
Yep. I got like information overload because I watched like the whole season in one day.
Yep. Same. I remember at the time, the person I was living with was like, are you really just going to watch this all day? And I was
like, yes, it's important.
It is. I was like, this is momentary and you're here all the time. Stop it. How we all feeling? Haley's on it.
I'm buzzy, tingly, like my lips are tingled.
I feel like like a huge like energy rush. Like I have just chugged like 10 cups of coffee and I'm like,
yeah,
go.
Trying not to go into like full research mode. Like
So hard. I know I have to write down things. And I'm like, I will get to that later.
Something that Jenny said about the djinn and the cave, the keepers of the knowledge, like I don't know, like that one like keeps coming back and mentioning that to me, like bringing it back up to me. The fact that it's a djinn.
mm-hmm.
And what I immediately got was in that because I was like, what's in that cave? Knowledge that humanity is not ready for. And the like,
Well,
and then
because
it
right now
becomes like
humanity just wants to
that is-
destroy each other. So
I felt the exact same, Kaylee, that it kept on bringing me back to that, and it feels like really sacred. And it's something, and I saw there's just a time, it's not going to be anytime soon, I don't think. There's just a time where they would just say, okay, you're ready, humanity's ready, and we would have access to that when we're ready.
Yeah.
we're like toddlers right now.
Yes.
I feel like we had access to it and we lost that privilege, and so we're in the naughty
Mhm.
corner.
Yeah.
We're on timeout.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I felt about it. That they're like, you can't have this.
You can't have this yet.
Last time we gave this to you,
You fucked it up.
It's kind
you
of
got
giving me
Lost our privileges.
dumbasses.
it's kind of giving me like that question we had last week, and kind of like Aladdin vibes of like, if
Yes,
you have
Game of
this
Wonders,
power,
right?
Cave of Wonders, and like when you have this power, what are you going to do with it, right? And it like never works out good in the first place, right? He's like, well, I'm going to become someone I'm totally not, right, to improve or impress this girl, right? And how that's like, oh
Waste
no,
of a wish.
that was the wrong choice, right? Wrong choice.
Jenny,
Mhm.
are you okay?
I got massive chills. Like I was like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But it might as well have been ants in my pants. But yeah, Spencer, yeah, that's exactly it. He's
Yeah.
over there nodding his head like, finally.
And I mean, there's a lot of things that way. And I feel like Andrea's talked about it once, like there's a lot of powers that they're wanting to give to us, but they're like,
can be
you will
tested.
misuse it. We've tried before, you misused it. Sorry, not sorry.
This
Well,
is
we
why
almost
we
It's not
have
their
nice
fault.
the
things.
world. We almost broke the world several times. This is not just like a once, like, oops, I accidentally
Yeah.
dropped a cup and now I gotta learn how to hold the cup. Two
Well-
hands, right? No, we fucking grabbed it, ripped it, and broke it apart.
Well, and Cryon, like in the Cryon books, he explains, like, or they explain that, like, when that happened, they had to do a world reset, right? Like, oh, too much energy, sorry, gone, annihilate, let's start over, right? And that's been 2-3 times now that like that's happened, and now they're like Cryon saying that this is a good energy level right now, right? And I'm like, this is the good energy level, like,
Yeah.
Because this is the first time where we're actually putting down our violence.
right?
And we're intentionally saying, hold on, let me put the violence aside so that the brain can prevail. We haven't done that before. We've said, I'm holding on to my violence while the brain prevails. We haven't, so it was like we had done the work, but we hadn't done the work the right way. And now we're doing the work the right way, which breeds confidence and spirit to be able to say, okay, maybe you can have these things.
We are the reason we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
We are.
Breaking shit.
It's like that meme of that guy shooting the other guy in the background, and then he turns around to the camera and he's like, who could do this? That is us.
Yeah. That's us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is 100%. Okay.
Got an image of like a toddler with like a little plastic baseball bat, like walking through the house.
And they take it away.
This is hilarious, because a few months ago I was talking about this exact same thing with a friend, how we're in the toddler phase right now, and spirits just like they're like a parent waiting for us to stop throwing our tantrums and like, are you ready yet? Are you ready now to
They're like, we got to go to the grocery store. So whenever you're done, let me know.
We need bananas.
Yeah. How's everybody feeling?
Good. A spiritual enema.
Oh my.
Like my being at the moment is, I feel like it's huge. But
Same.
I don't know how to explain that. Like it just feels like out here.
Did someone see the comment on TikTok? Were humans designed to be violent at first? No.
Well, it
Mm-mm.
makes sense.
No.
Like when they're kids, we don't have the capacity to explain our feelings. We haven't been taught that. So what do? They smack the toy out of the other kid's hand because that's all they know how to do.
Mhm.
Right.
It's
And
not
like,
that they're violent, it's that there's no wider thinking process.
There's
Yeah.
nobody to be like, okay, this is how you express your feelings. This is what you say. This is what you do.
We hadn't learned that yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We
Remember,
were
we
not,
came from Gaia, we came from animals, and the
yeah,
body is still designed that way. 300,000 years of Homo sapien, Homo erectus, all of our beautiful ancestry. 300,000 years of that coming together is not enough to just stop that.
I got that we were not programmed to be violent, that it is a learned behavior to get what you want. Because if you do repetitively do something over and over and over and it gets you the results that you want, you're going to keep doing it. And that's just kind of been ingrained in us since, like, we started being shitty shits, and then it passed on that trait.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like it's been passed
Well,
down.
It's passed on, generational trauma. The fire just goes.
I think I've been hanging around Tiffany too much because I'm starting to see that like the violent side is like really that pull or push, right? Like we're pushing. And I mean, like if we don't know that violent side, how can we know love? Like we have to know, we have to experience this first before we can do that. And like if we look back at history, there's been some crazy wars, some violent, crazy wars over some really bad things. But how has that improved humanity afterwards? And that's
It
like
gives them something to be like, I don't want to be like that.
it does. It does. And so it's the push and pull that we're getting to. And finally humanity, I mean, it feels like we're going backwards, but like we've evolved a lot.
Isn't
Makes me
there a
wonder-
theory called habit regression, where as you're building new habits, one of the first ones you learned slips by? I read that recently. So like if you're trying to change your lifestyle and you start adding and you nail one and you add another one and you nail that one and you add another one and you add the fourth one, etc., eventually the first one will start slipping because your energy and your focus is here, and then eventually you'll pick it back up. It's like when kids are learning to tie their shoes, they forget how to potty train. And so I feel like, okay, great, we learned lessons 1, 2, and 3, and now we're really struggling with this right now. So we've forgotten one. And we're having to be reminded to go back and learn one again.
I mean, that's valid. It's hard for us to learn all of these things. But this is the first time that humanity is teaching their children to be compassionate and really starting to break those ancestral curses, which means that penchant for losing the first things that you've learned to gain something new and then having to go back, it feels like that goes with it.
Yeah.
So what if they let us keep that trait, that violent trait, because that would be one of our, that's our greatest shortfall, our greatest challenge to overcome, to progress spiritually.
I got two things on that one, and I'd be interested in comparing notes to everyone else.
I think it's like you got to learn how to harness that. Like there's a time and a place to be able to channel that kind of feeling, that kind of energy. What comes to mind is like during protests when you're standing up for somebody that can't stand up for themselves, like having that,
wield it, right?
huh?
Like how we wield it, the violence.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me back to the creation versus destruction thing. You can totally use it for a creation, like I'm just brought back to the I'm standing up, I'm for this person. I am using my like anger, rage, these violent feelings to help other people that are like oppressed, that kind of thing. But if you use it for destruction, like, no, you can't have that. Don't do that.
I think
got
this
goosebumps.
actually goes beyond the protests and more looking to setting your boundaries with your elected officials, making sure that scared people are taking the steps to get into offices or government positions or high level influencers who are the ones that know this information and can actually start really affecting the change. The protests are great. They give us a voice. They let it be known, but until we all stand up together and put these people in a position of power, is anything really ever going to change?
What if the feelers, the empaths, the spiritually connected are the ones supporting those people and in their outer circles and inner circles?
That's actually a feeling I got recently of everyone having their role in it, whether they know it or not. There's the people who are taking a more physical role, and then people who are taking a more spiritual role and assisting those people who are in those front lines, taking that, doing the physical work.
Because it's easier for us to not be in the actual position, but to steer the people in the position through being the voice of reason and the word in their ears. Now, when we went back to humanity being violent and what would happen if we held on to that, or spirit let us keep it or take it from us, the peanut gallery over here was, we don't let you do anything. You choose this on your own. It's not about us. It's about your choices. And part of the fun and the experiment is watching what choices we're going to make. And they showed like a sitcom, like eating popcorn and being like, this is the funniest show I've ever seen. Like, what are they going to do this week? It's always something new. And then another part of that is humanity actively making the choice that we know that we've used violence as a way to keep ourselves safe and alive. It's been a defense mechanism. It's been survival. But now we're not on the food chain anymore. And we're not fighting for survival. We're figuring out what moving from survival to thriving is and where we go from there.
The TikTok chat has had some really good points, and they're speaking on the different, violence is a reaction instead of a trait, and things about the ego. And from what I understand, the ego's job is self-preservation. The caveat is the ego's job is self-preservation of itself, sometimes at the expense of me.
Yeah.
And having that balance and the willpower and the control and the choices to come in and go, okay, you have to sit down because you're self-preservation. You're not in harm. You stop, sit.
So it's a tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool that we have to learn how to use. Like I got like the like a monkey using a rock to break stuff open, and like using a twig or something to get what he wants from the other side of a fence, like using the tool, but we're trying to figure out how to use it. We have the tool, we don't know what we're supposed to do with it. So we're kind of just like smashing the nut with the rock, and we don't know how to channel
Why is
that.
it destroyed?
Yeah.
When you were saying that, I also remembered video or documentary, or don't remember what, of how a certain species of mates have learned from watching people washing their fruits, their foods before eating it, that they start to do that too. And then that was passed down to the next generation, the next generation, the next generation. Ooh. And then I got the impression of, we are the monkeys, spirit is a human. We can get advice maybe from spirit on like the directions to go or how to use it.
Right. Yes.
It's
Like,
ultimately ours.
yeah. And that we as the monkeys in this scenario, we have to observe spirit more in how they do it so that we can learn how to properly mimic or become.
Like monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a good point, Shirley.
I think we're going to wrap up this week's episode here. Thank you all for coming up. Thank you to all the followers for coming up with fantastic questions. Mwah! Love you guys.